Hello, welcome to Heart to Heart.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Christina.
And I'm Robert. Hi, Christina.
Hey,
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little cold.
Yeah, we had a little
cold
dusting of snow last night. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Good.
Okay, well, I've been wondering all week what you're going to spring on me today.
Came to me yesterday, actually, as I was driving around running some errands yesterday morning. I started thinking about something, and I thought it would be a really great conversation for us to talk about. And that is, we're going to talk a little bit today about relationships, and we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of being alone.
Oh, okay.
Because here's the interesting thing, and this will go back to our mirror conversation that we had a couple episodes back, where we talked about that you attract who you are, but you also attract where you are in your life. So you'll notice that when you're looking for a mate, or not looking, but as the universe directs you to a mate, the person that you attract or you might be attracted to resembles yourself in some way. And usually that person, in that person is some lessons for you to learn to kind of move a little bit more forward in your life. So, I can see the smirk. You're going, oh boy, this is a loaded one. This isn't a half an hour conversation. This might actually span into many episodes, I think, because this is really deep and it's really profound. Because I was talking to a friend last night, and one of the things we were talking about is that the importance of doing the self-work, so that when you are in a position to attract somebody, you're not getting what you've always had before. You're attracting somebody of a different magnitude, but in order to do that, you have to do your own self-work. And I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what we're referring to. And I don't want to talk over people's of where they are, but I think we should break it down a little bit and talk about some interesting facts regarding relationships, given that the person that you're with, especially when you're young and you're just starting out, is usually somebody who is really like a mini you in many respects. I can see you're like chomping at the bits, aren't you, for this conversation?
I don't know if chomping at the bit is the right answer.
Yeah. So I think we should break it down, and we should talk about, a young relationship versus, and then how life progresses through relationships, and then to being alone for a period of time in your life and what that means, and then moving on into another relationship at a different level. Is that a lot for you?
That's fine. That's fine. It's where our conversations go.
Exactly. So I think we should start at the very beginning, and that is when a human being first starts to date. And what is it that they date, and who is it that they attract?
I'm not sure I can remember back that far.
Well, let's talk about your experiences in the very beginning, the first relationships, serious relationships. I'm not talking about the person you date for a little bit here and there. I'm talking about, somebody you've been with for a little period of time. You might have married. What does that relationship look like to you? And where were you in your consciousness at the time? What kind of a person were you at that time?
Oh, that's interesting. Are you talking about like a first girlfriend or something like that?
No, I want to go into our first long, meaningful relationships. I'm not talking about the fly-by-nights that you just date here and there. I'm talking about somebody who you were with for a while, and where were you at that time, and where was the person in that, in terms of your own consciousness level?
Well, it was interesting because I was young, and it was right before or somewhat before, maybe a year or so before, that I kind of had this awakening experience.
Let me ask you, were you looking for a relationship at the time, or did this just kind of happen?
Well, I don't know that it was anything atypical. I was maybe 15, 16 years old. I think I was 15. And I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't looking for a soulmate. I didn't have that, in my mind. I was following hormones around and doing what we do and thinking, what will my friends think about this girl, because this guy has a girl and that guy has a girl. So you kind of feel like you're supposed to have one. And, but anyway, there was this lovely young woman that would go through this little hangout of mine. I hung out at a place called the Pinball Wizard. I think it was named after that Who, Tommy.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's where I would hang out to play pool and to play. We didn't have video games. We had pinball and foosball. So that was just a place that kids would go hang out and get into mischief and test the boundaries and do all the different things. But there was a young woman that I met, and she was quite attractive to me and to other people too. And so finally I got the courage to approach her and talk with her, and then we just kind of gravitated towards each other.
Okay. And that was your first long-term?
Oh, well, we stayed together. I was 15 when we met.
15? Wow.
I was 15 when we met. And when I turned 18, we got married.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, and then you had this awakening experience. So during this marriage, so you essentially became different than she met at 15. And so like 15, you're young, you're carefree, you're just looking to have a good time, to have somebody attractive on your arm, and you end up having this tremendous experience at the age of 17. And then you marry this person. Oh, now unless she grew, did she grow with you or did she not?
Well, it's interesting. And we may talk more about that next week, because next week will be the 41st year since I experienced that. But I had that experience and it changed me profoundly. And the first thing that happened is that she and I broke up. Right. That was the first thing that happened.
Because she couldn't relate to you, to the new you, to what you were becoming. Right.
And I wasn't sure what had happened or what I experienced. Honestly, being raised in North Carolina in the Bible Belt, being raised in a good Christian, home, and I was raised in a good home. So I interpreted the experience that I had as, oh, wow, man, what these guys have been talking about is true. And so I assumed that that's what I had experienced. So I dove headfirst into mainstream Christianity in one of its 34,000 expressions in my geographic area.
Wow. So you really had this experience. You really didn't know what it was. And then you're trying to share it with your significant other at the time, and she was just scratching her head like, what are you talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. And this is interesting because this is what happens in a lot of in a significant amount of relationships, that one person does have some sort of spiritual awakening of some type, and the other person is still the same person, and you're not the same person. So it's almost like, it's like two people coming together who don't know each other, but yet they're married now, or they have children now.
Oh yeah. Well, and then what had happened after I had the awakening experience, then we broke up, and then we really missed each other, and then we got back together, and she shared a similar experience. I mean, it was not one sided. It was very interesting. we actually at one point ended up quitting our jobs and becoming heavily involved in traveling around and helping people. At a young age, I was probably 22, 23 at the time, and we traveled the country. So it was very interesting and probably atypical in that regard. But yeah, I got married at 18. I was convinced I knew everything.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that says a lot. And you are fortunate then in your certain circumstance, because from what I know and from what I've seen, a lot of people, you have one of the partners awakening in some way and the other one just not. And then the two can't relate at all. I mean, it's just like two separate worlds completely at that time. So you were fortunate enough in that the universe allowed your significant partner at that time to awaken as well. So now you're both set out, two soulmates on the road doing what you need to do. And that's the thing is that you never know what path you're going to take. You never know where it's going to take you.
Right.
So what happened to that relationship?
Oh, we stayed together for about 7 years. But it ended up that life on the road and traveling and having so many people involved was taking its toll. So we stopped that and got regular jobs. And one thing led to another, and there was kind of a drifting apart. And so then I experienced a divorce at an early age. And that was difficult.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, the statistics are, I believe that, 1 out of every 2 marriages do end up in divorce. And I think that the challenge of any relationship is two people who come together at a similar consciousness level and then growing together. There's this beautiful quote, and I forget who says it, but it says that, love isn't looking into each other's eyes, or not necessarily just looking into each other's eyes, it's looking out in the same direction. And to me, that's so powerful, because two people really have to have the same vision. Otherwise, that's where the vibrational difference just gets so intense that it's very difficult to keep the relationship. And this is, I can't tell you how many stories there are. I mean, this is just what happens in life over the years. And the fortunate are the ones who can grow together through the changes,
Well, yeah, but I'd like to interject this. I know that I'm not so special or different. I am kind of strange. But it seems to me, and of course I got married again and had children second go round, but it seems to me that one of the things that we do, and this is why I spend so much time trying to talk about happiness. And I don't talk about that in the way that, there's something wrong with you if you're not happy all the time. That's not the point of happiness being your natural condition. We have a range of emotions, and they're all very meaningful. They all communicate. They all provide us guidance. And one of our biggest problems is we don't want to feel them. So we try not to feel them, that sort of thing. However, what seems to be pretty typical on planet Earth, it has been for some time, is that if you and I were in a relationship, well, Christina, if you would just do this, then I would be happy.
Uh-huh.
Or if you would stop doing that, then I will be happy.
Right.
And we live in a country under the guise of the pursuit of happiness. And I can tell you emphatically, if you chase happiness, it will run from you. Yes. That's the nature of it.
Yes.
Okay. So the pursuit of happiness doesn't work. Right. And trying to find your happiness in another person is an error from the outset.
Right. Exactly.
And we don't know that. We don't realize that. That's one of the things that I've learned over years of relationships and experience. We don't realize the error that we're engaged in from the outset.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that is very powerful, and I do see that as well. I mean, it is a lot of people, they don't even understand. They fall in love with people and they don't understand. It's usually a codependent relationship. They're actually seeking that person to heal something within themselves, and they don't even know it, they don't even see it, which is why what came to me yesterday when I was driving was talk about being alone and the importance of being alone. And we are so bombarded today by so many distractions. And then the soonest time, anytime we have a breakup, we quickly get into another relationship without spending any time whatsoever just getting to know ourselves again. I mean, we don't even know who we are, especially if we've raised children and our whole identity is tied up with that, with raising a family and our husbands or our wives or our position in society or wherever, and we don't even know who we are. Like the happiness, we've chased it all over the place. Or like the dog just chasing the ball. And we live through our children, we live, vicariously through other people. And inside there's this emptiness, and we don't know why, because we don't tune in.
Well, that is a key word for this discussion, I think, is the emptiness, the feeling of emptiness. We have a word that we use when folks get married and then they have their honeymoon night. And we say the marriage was consummated. Mm-hmm. And at the root of the word consummation is consume.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And what we tend to do in our unconscious states as evolving humans, we've been doing this a long time, so don't feel bad about it. But you're hungry. Okay? And we have a saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
But we come to one another and approach each other in a consuming manner. Right. I want what you have. I want to take energy from you. I want to feel completed by you. Right. I want my loneliness to go away because of you. And the list goes on and on. And if you
beautiful.
Yeah.
I need to hear that I'm beautiful and that I'm worthy and that you chose me. And now I'm accepting of that. So the more you tell me that, I'm going to fall in love because I need to hear that from you.
That's right. But, when you come to each other trying to consume one another, guess what you're not doing? You're not feeding each other. You're consuming one another. There's a huge difference energetically. And when I say energetically, I mean emotionally, the outcome, everything like that is, we'll eventually probably do a talk on giving and receiving, which is something that we don't do much at all.
No.
We buy, we sell, we borrow, we repay. None of those are giving.
Right.
The energy of giving is not happening, and we'll go to church and the preacher will tell us, well, if you just sow your seed and give this, then you'll get this back. And so then we'll jump up and think that we're giving. That's not giving.
Right.
That's playing the stock market.
Exactly.
If I invest this, then this is what I'm going to get.
Right.
Okay. And then men do this. Well, I took her to dinner. I bought her flowers. I took out time for her, and now she owes me something. Mm-hmm. I've purchased something here. Hang on a second.
Right.
What are we doing? And then we wonder why relationships fall off the track, because we don't approach each other in a giving manner. If I need you to complete me, if I need you to complete me, if you're my other half, then guess what? I'm about half here.
Right.
You couldn't possibly have all of me. I couldn't be offering you all of me if half of me is missing somewhere and wrapped up in you, I think.
Right. Tell me I'm beautiful and buy me flowers. Then I might fall in love with you.
That's right. Well, and there's the other thing. If we'll take just a brief look to see what love is, well, first off, rooted in love is a choice. Love is something that you choose to do, and love is something that you choose to express. Love is an outflow. The energy flows out. It is benevolence. It is going out this way.
Right.
It's not coming in that way.
Right.
So what are we doing? What are we doing if I want you to be my medicine? What are we doing if I can't be alone? You're my cure for loneliness. I have low self-esteem, so I need you to boost my self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We still haven't gotten to love.
No, and I think people don't really even ever really experience that love, true love.
That's right.
Because they're consumed in these marriages that is exactly that. They were looking for a need to be met, and then once that need is met, then they're like, I don't really care for this person anymore. Like once that need is met, but yeah, absolutely, I totally definitely see the logic in this and why it's so important to spend time alone and to really get to know yourself and to really discover who you are. Know thyself is reverberated through all since ancient times. I mean, that is exactly what we need to do. And then when we meet that person that we like, like this could be something here. It's not, you're not looking for something. And then if that person doesn't act in the way that you need them to act, you're okay with it.
Right.
You're not like, oh, well, he didn't buy me flowers and I need flowers and I need to be told this so that I feel good about myself. It's more like, you know what? It's a completely different type of relationship.
Yes.
And I think a relationship like that, you can focus more on being of service than of trying to keep filling each other up all the time.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something, and we're almost out of time. But so we'll have
to do a part 2.
We'll have to do a part 2 and come up with a title for this. But Christina, here's, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons to learn to be alone. Okay? And listen, we use that as a punishment. If we think about this for a minute, if some child is misbehaving, we'll make them go stand in the corner away from everybody else, as though that's a bad thing. If we're in prison and somebody really acts up once they're already incarcerated, we have a thing called solitary confinement. We actually believe
to be alone.
That's right. We actually believe that it's punishment. That is punishment to be with yourself. Now, watch this. Everywhere that you go, there you are.
Exactly.
Every mirror that you look into, there's your face. Every situation that you insert yourself to or find yourself in, the main player on the stage, as far as your perception, is you. Mm-hmm. There is an inescapable you. God, now, Christina, think about this for a minute. That's not punishment.
No.
And if you don't make friends with that,
yeah,
that's neurotic.
Yeah.
Okay? If you can't make friends with that, if you and I don't get along, we can cut this camera off and we can stop talking. We can stop calling each other. Okay? If I don't get along with a coworker or something else, then I can disengage and go get another job. I can do something differently. There's nothing I can do about Robert. Robert is with me. You
might as well love yourself.
Well, if I don't, I'm kind of nuts. And that is just an earthy way of me, the way I talk, is kind of our collective condition in a lot of ways. If we look at the malfunction in the relationship, we haven't evolved to the type of relationship that we want. We're able to do that. Mm-hmm. We're able to do that. Yeah. We certainly are. But when we come to each other broken, incomplete, I don't like my own company, I don't feel good about myself, okay, I'm out looking for a fix. I'm looking for an addiction. I'm looking for a medicine. I'm looking for an escape. I'm looking for anything but a partner and a soulmate. Not really. That might be what I want back here, but my actions and my state of consciousness is what's driving what I'm really doing.
Right. And I think actually this was a great point to leave off at. And I think what you said is maybe our part 2 should be, we can talk about self-love and what that is and what that means, and just solely focus on being alone, and then maybe go back to the relationship for a part 3, because this is a really interesting topic, and I think a lot of people will appreciate our conversation.
Okay. Well, we'll see. What you always surprise me, so if we have a part 2, I'm not going to be surprised.
No surprises next week, but
no surprises next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Christina, always I appreciate our conversations, and I think we're doing a little better. It's hard to really replicate our normal heart-to-heart conversations with a camera on and thinking people are looking.
Exactly.
Watching.
Nobody watching us, so we're good to go.
Well, just in case anybody is watching, we certainly appreciate you coming and listening to our little chats. So if you care to like, share, subscribe, and who knows, we'll just keep this going and see what happens.
Yes. So have a nice week, everyone. Have a nice week, Robert. And
okay. Well, I'll be talking to you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Until then, bye-bye. Heart to heart.
Bye. Heart to heart.